Welcome. We're just going to wait just a few moments while people are still entering the room. It's really good to see everyone. Thank you for coming. We have quite a few members here tonight, which is wonderful. Hello, good to see you. My name is Tasha Nesbitt. I am president of Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area. We are an extension of the original Bay Area Women in Film, which started in 2001. And in the last 2 years, we've revamped the organization and we're a new organization. So Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area, it's just the same company, same mission, same supportive community. And what we are a nonprofit volunteer run organization, and we actively provide networking, educational events, social opportunities to more than 1,000 women in film, TV, and digital, the screen arts in general, in the San Francisco Bay Area. Our mission is to empower, promote, and celebrate women's creative work. We provide critical support on creative works, at least that is our goal as we keep growing. And we seek to deliver useful solutions and build a really strong community to further our craft and support one another in this industry. This event is an example of something that we really champion, is learning more about our local resources. And I'm excited to have you all here with us. Now let's see, I think it's 6:35 p.m. I guess I'll just take this moment. I feel like maybe there are a few people still joining us, but I'll take the moment now to say, if you can just put your name and your talent, where you work in the industry, what you do, and what projects you might be working on in the chat area. We can see, our speaker can see you, and we can see a little more about you. The chat can be found at the bottom of the screen. If you look down at the bottom, just click on chat and you can add your comments there. Make sure you're sending it to everyone in the meeting. Otherwise you will send it directly to one other person. Let's see, Robin, you asked me if I'm in speaker mode. I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that I'm pinned to the top of the screen, and that's what we'll do, is we'll keep pinning people as they're speaking. So with that, I will hand it over to my fellow board of director, Julie Rubio, who will be introducing our speaker from the San Francisco Film Commission this evening. So Julie Rubio.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really excited to be here tonight. It's great, like I said before, to see everybody's faces, finally. It's been a little while, so it really warms my heart to see everybody. I am so happy to introduce Menijay Fata. She's currently the Film San Francisco manager at San Francisco Film Commission, where she worked with films and TV series such as The Last Black Man in San Francisco, Venom, Beautiful Boy, Chance, and VOA. She has over 20 years experience in arts and education program management, development, extensive community outreach, and initiatives and partnerships with nonprofit organizations in Oakland and in San Francisco. And she holds 2 bachelor's degrees, one from UC Berkeley and an MFA in cinema at San Francisco State University, where she created her award-winning short film, Las Frutas, a Fruitville Tale. And let's give a warm welcome to Menijay Fata.
You did it, Julie.
That's your name.
Perfect. I know you were so nervous about it, but you did it both times.
I didn't want to botch your beautiful name.
No, it's okay. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see all your square faces and boxes. Thank you so much for having me. I know Susanna couldn't join and we had to change at the last minute, but I'm your second best thing, hopefully, tonight. So I've been with the Film Commission about 6 years, and I actually love kind of doing these talks and being in the community. I do a lot with the universities and with neighborhood organizations when a project's come into town, and we've got to tell them that their streets are being closed and there's going to be a helicopter flying down. So, I'm for kind of this is a different kind of audience, which is nice and warm, because sometimes they can be, in a neighborhood, it could be a little potentially contentious or not. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to sort of talk a little bit about what we do, and also how we support filmmakers, and really just have a kind of a dialogue. And so I want this also to feel natural and hopefully organic when I sort of do my presentation. If you have questions, put them in the chat, and if I don't see it, maybe one of Julie or Tasha or somebody else can say, hey, there's a question in the chat. So or raise your hand and just say, hey, I want to ask you a question, a clarifying question. So please feel free to do that. This can, just sort of be a conversation with us, or do that. So I'm going to start my screen share. Also, as Tasha said, I really do want to know who's in the room. So thank you for putting this, because I am looking at it. It's good for me to see if what I'm sharing, if folks have worked with our office before, or how they've engaged with the Film Commission in any way. So it's great to kind of see what you all are doing out in, with production. So be patient with me as I do this screen sharing bit. Okay, I think you can see my Film SF logo. Okay, yes. Fabulous, great. Okay, so what, this is a great quote from Danny Boyle. What's not to like about San Francisco? It's one of the most cinematic cities in the world. The hills, the bay, the bridges, the mist that comes in and hides the city and then reveals the city. It's so cinematic. It's a delicious place to live and breathe and make a film. And the crews are great. To be able to make a film here is a privilege and a gift. I do it again in a flash. That gives you a small little, I think, window into who, what. I don't think we have to sell San Francisco on why kind of it's amazing. I'm a Bay Area native. My parents met in Golden Gate Park, and we moved our family down the peninsula. So San Francisco is a special place in my family's history. And it's great to see so many productions want to shoot in our beautiful area. So a little bit about our mission. We champion filming in San Francisco, and we are a city agency, and we really try to attract and diverse storytellers to our city and to foster filming and really to stimulate economic development. Especially, I think right now in COVID times, it's been really essential to try to look at how we're going to stimulate the economy post-COVID or during COVID and the aftermath, right? We also create jobs. Our mission is to create jobs and local spending. It's important that productions sort of stimulate this local economy. And it's also, we strive to share the beauty of our city with the world, which helps attract tourism. And with that, we'll, provide more local spending. So just to give you some idea of some shots that have some indie films, I think we all kind of know some of maybe other bigger productions that have shot here. And these are some just indie stuff that has shot in some different San Francisco neighborhoods. Have folks seen Women as Losers, a fabulous indie film that actually helped work with them on their permit. I just actually saw it at the Mill Valley Film Festival, and it was so great. It was, performances were spectacular. So
I'm actually one of the producers.
Wonderful.
Users, and and my company and Close Entertainment, we sponsored the Bay Area premiere at Mill Valley.
Wonderful. Loved it.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Can you announce your name?
My name is Cindy Merrim.
Thank you.
And I've been working with the film from the very beginning. So with Lisette Feliciano and Lorenza Izzo and everyone.
Yeah. Lisette's performance was really amazing in it.
Well, actually, she's the director, but Lorenza's the
Lorenza Izzo. But Lisette Feliciano, that's how I got confused.
Yeah, but they're a great team.
Yeah. Lorenza.
Thank you. Yeah, she did a wonderful job, definitely.
Yeah. Last Black Man of San Francisco. Again, another great, I actually worked with Joe Talbot on his film as well. And that had just, really great success. Shit in Champagne, a great indie. I haven't had a chance to see it, but I worked with them as well. Beautiful Boy, I think that definitely was one of the larger indies that was here, but great production. And Pushing Dead, this actually was here right when I started. They were in production when I started. I didn't get to work with them, but it really another powerful indie. Smile Again by Jenny Lee. Carlo actually, I think, is a Bay Area filmmaker. And East Side Sushi. Julie, weren't you producer on this? Or involved in some way?
Yes.
Yes. And Anthony is a friend of mine. Loved this film.
Thank you.
So just to give you some stats, so in 2020, we had about 545 shoot days, 192 permits that we issued in 2020, which honestly is really low. And it was obviously lower due to the pandemic. But since 2010, so we're looking at about 12 years, we've had, over 6,200 productions shoot, which totaled about 13,000 days. So we do typically yearly have a lot more filming, which is great. And within that amount of time, estimated budget for productions that shot here were over $1 billion. So that's a significant amount of resources. So some other notable productions during that time, Matrix is actually coming out mid-December, late December, and that was probably one of the latest ones that I worked on, which was probably the most impactful and intense thing I'd ever, helped get done in the city.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it was really incredible. And I, when we talk about some other opportunities and things that we've done, I'll share a little bit about some internships and things that we were able to create at starting with the Matrix. So like Shanghai, Venom, I mean, you can see the list. HBO's Looking, Netflix, Sense8, Hulu's Chance. So a bunch of really great stuff that is shot here. So, filming, how does it benefit us, right? We employ local crew, or it employs local crew and actors. There's local spending on purchases, rentals, wages. And when people film here, they want to come and visit. So we want it to increase tourism, but also really importantly, it's city pride. We feel good when we see our neighborhoods, the places that we love to eat, sort of on camera. It's just so something I want to sort of talk about, which may be relevant to some in the room, is our rebate program. And this is great because if you want to shoot a percentage of your film in San Francisco and a larger percent, then you can qualify for some rebates. And so if your budget is over 3 million, for example, and you must shoot 65% of your shoot in San Francisco in order to qualify. If your budget is under 3 million, you must shoot 55%. And again, it doesn't matter what your budget is, you can still qualify for the rebate. We've worked with various budget size and they were still able to get reimbursed some costs that, help. It even could be a couple thousand, and that still could be significant for any kind of size budget. So what you get is a cash rebate for any fee that you pay for practically any city agency. So a big cost could be like permit fees to Rec and Park. If you want to shoot in the Palace of Fine Arts, that can get kind of expensive. So your fees would be rebated back to you. You paid it initially up front, and then after you do all your paperwork, our department reimburses you. Another is like 4 police officers per day for a 12-hour day. Now, this came in handy for like Last Black Man in San Francisco. They worked their schedule because they needed officers, and they had to stick with what could fit in their budget rather than only, asking for 6 officers and then absorbing the cost for the other. So this was really significant and huge for them. So they were really able to take advantage of that. Anything like street closures and muni rentals, you want to charter a cable car, this would be rebated back to you, that fee. And like I said, permit fees with our office, Rec and Park, or any other city agency. You need help from DPW, Department of Public Works, to help clean the streets afterwards or do something. Anything extra that you're, for the port parking is a little extra, so we rebate that. And then if you have any production office space that's in San Francisco or stage space, it's possible to rebate it. There is just a little catch that we may need to work with you to have the city be the leaseholder. So that's just a little, like Treasure Island, for example, would probably be something that could be rebated back to you. Where currently that space is not as available as it was for some recent previous productions. So we're working on some other possible stage spaces, but this just gives you a little bit about this rebate program. Again, lots of larger productions and indie productions have taken advantage of this rebate, like Women as Losers did as well. Another great incentive we have is our Film SF Savings Program. This is an opportunity for production companies and crew to get discounts when they're shopping locally at businesses that are participating in this program. So we have locals that are, and this is all San Francisco based, but, equipment rentals, restaurants, hotels are actually a really big significant one on our list, dry cleaners. And in order for a business to participate, you have to provide a minimum of a 10% discount to crew members. So this is another thing that's been really good and successful. And that's our new logo. So we're kind of excited about it.
There is a question from Kelly regarding the rebate. Is it for just San Francisco, the city, or is it for areas other around the Bay Area?
Yeah, our rebate is just for San Francisco. Unfortunately, we're one of the only cities that actually provide one. I think Santa Clarita offers something, but we're really one of the only cities that have this rebate. There is the state tax, the California Film Commission has a tax, their rebate program, but it's the budget for indies. The budgets tend to be a little significantly higher, and TV series and features. So, and that's something you can look at the California Film Commission. But yeah, unfortunately, it's only for San Francisco.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and so how do we help filmmakers? Well, we have a team in our office that work with you to help you through the permitting process. And we really do help you step by step. So I know it can be for people that are seasoned that come, it can be, how do, remind me again how I get a parking permit, or people that have never done this before and they just need, walk me through the process. So we have a really great team that will really help you navigate how to get a permit. We also are kind of the middle person, and we really work with you on behalf with other agencies in the city to get your needs met. So we will help make those connections. Like I have an indie I'm working with, an indie film I'm actually working with that wants to shoot in a jail, and we made some calls happen, and they've got to go do a site visit, and that may happen, and that's a pretty big deal. And so, there's things that we can definitely make work, especially with Muni is a great partnership we have, the port. So we really help you navigate working with other agencies. We also have reduced costs for permit fees, which is depending on your budget. So if you're making a short or a feature film or a TV series, depending on your budget, your permit fee can be $50 to $300 a day. And again, you can put as many locations in a day, and it's just a daily use fee. And with that comes your parking. You would have to pay a posting vendor to post your parking, but you can take 10 parking spots, and that is the same as, that's included in your permit fee. And we have like the incentives we mentioned to help reduce the cost of filming, which is like our rebate program and our film SF savings program. And then our film space grant, which right now we have two organizations that are the recipient, which is SF Film, their film house, and 9th Street Independent Film Center. And what we do is provide a grant to them to provide low cost space to filmmakers, as production space. And so, if you all might be aware of the Film House Residency, and 19th Street has an incubator program for filmmakers. So it's really important that filmmakers, filmmakers have a space in the city to work. And another thing that we're really trying to do more of is provide internships or opportunities for PAs to work in productions. And something I wanted to mention was like in The Matrix, which was something new. We worked with the production and Local 16, IATSE Local 16, to provide internships for some young adults, primarily through the age of 18 to 25, with the mayor's program Opportunities for All, to get them in the door, and in a couple of different internships with the production. So we had a grip and electric intern, somebody that worked in art department, another that worked in I think makeup, and I think that's really where we're trying to find more opportunities to support young adults getting into the industry and a pathway into the industry. So that's some other initiatives that we're really trying to look at and spearhead.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned the 9th Street Film Center. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I didn't realize it was still existing, and that's super exciting to hear.
Yeah. Ryan Delgado, I'm not sure if you're all familiar with him. He sort of runs the program, and they have an incubator film program, which is really, it's the small cohort of filmmakers. Then it ranges from narrative. A lot of them tend to be documentary filmmakers, and they provide office space to filmmakers to work out of. I remember, maybe 20 years ago, editing a film on a flatbed in one of their office spaces. I don't know if that was when it was Film Arts Foundation, right?
Yeah.
They rented.
Gail Silva was there.
Yes. So, and yes, they're still around, and they were a recipient of the grant a couple years back, and then it went, SF Film, the Film House was, and so they applied again, and they now share the grant. But it's the space, they still share the space with Cam, Frameline. I'm trying to remember who else is over there on 9th Street in their offices, but I hope that, let me know if there's any more info you want. Oh wait, I don't think I talked about that. Okay, so just to give you a sense, I'm gonna talk a little bit about our permitting piece, and then we can see how are we doing on timing. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good.
So a little bit about like what our jurisdiction is: city streets and sidewalks, any city-owned building, port properties and piers, anything that's muni related, and obviously booking SFPD officers. So things that aren't our jurisdiction, which a lot of people kind of, get confused about, is like the beaches, any bridges or highways. So beaches would be Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Bridges and highways are Caltrans. Any of the national parks, which is again Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Private property. So if you're filming on private property, you don't need a permit with us at all. If you want some street parking, then you would. If you're like, oh, I want to park, some production vehicles, then you would come to us for a permit. And then anything that's parks. So Parks Department, you work directly with them for a permit. And that can even be some plazas, right? Like UN Plaza or Civic Center Plaza. Those are all parks property. we can also, definitely help you navigate and answer questions, but they have their own permitting process and tend to need more lead time. So some of these areas, as they tell you, especially beaches and parks, need a lot more lead time for permits. Right now, some of it can be 10 business days. So it's a little hard when you need something last minute. So definitely sort of thinking and planning ahead is good. So kind of just like, this part of the step is production planning. You can contact us if you need thoughts on locations, you're trying to find something. What we're not is location scout per se, which I think some other commissions can be. We're not necessarily equipped. We have a great library of resources. If you're like, oh, I want to shoot in an alley but I don't want a street closure, those are things we can help you think through. But if you're like, if you send us a whole list of locations, we would probably direct you to some resources, but we can have conversations about things if you're trying to look for something in mind. But, and also, if you're looking for any production resources, we can definitely, steer you in the right way. And if you just want to start planning or thinking about your upcoming project and you have questions, and again, if you're trying to fill out a permit for the first time and just need to walk through that process, we're definitely here to help. This is just like complete and submit your application. I didn't need to, I deleted a lot of things on this because it just was too in depth. And this is just more like, here's what our application looks like. An important thing that I think people need to know is you have to have proof of insurance. So I know some folks may have production insurance, or you have your own company and, you have insurance, or you're going to just buy. And sometimes if your shoot is so low risk and low impact, the insurance isn't very expensive. It could be a couple $100s. And if you don't have employees, you can get a waiver for workers' comp. Because what we need is general and auto liability and workers' comp. But again, if you don't have employees, you can probably get a workers' comp waiver. Auto liability, we would maybe need to see, but you're like, oh, we're just going to take public transportation or Uber and Lyft to and from location. You can get an auto waiver. There's ways to do this to make it less expensive, depending on the kind of shoot you want to do and your resources and your budget. We helped a guy making a short film for the first time with our office. And I think just to help navigate some of these pieces with insurance, he was like, we're just going to take an Uber and Lyft just to make it easy, because he didn't want to, pay the expense. So we can be creative and think about this. So like I said, a great resource that we have is being able to have you post. So production needs to post parking for production vehicles, and or if you want to clear it for picture, or if you need for picture cars. So this is just an example of a map. We don't need to go into it, but it's more of just this is something you would submit to us, and that's where we would, talk about where you're parking, and you hiring one of our posting vendors. That's the city approved posting vendors to post for you. That just, this is a really great thing for productions. I think sometimes they forget. They're like, oh, we're just shooting on private property, we don't need to worry. Well, if you're kind of shooting in a dense neighborhood and you don't want to stress about, having parking or paying for a meter, you can do this.
Manisha?
Yeah.
The slide right before this was delayed for us. We didn't really get to look at it while you were speaking about it. So just wanted to see it a little. It just passed by us very fast. So
yeah. Yeah. Is this one the permit application?
Great.
Yeah. So this is just parts of the permit. Like the top is the contractor is the name of the production company. And if you yourself are applying for a permit, you could put your own name. That would just need to match the name on the insurance. And the last bottom part is that's where you put your location. I'm shooting on Steiner between this street and this street at the day at time. So, that just gives you an idea of what kind of one of the pieces. Our use agreement is many pages because it's like a contract. The use agreement / permit application is the same thing. It's just we use the word interchangeably.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm. So any questions about the parking at all? Okay. So just the other thing, what we have productions do is like do community outreach if they're doing some, if they're posting production vehicles. So if you're posting like 4 or more signs, then you need to distribute this film notice 72 hours before you shoot. So sort of notifying the area where you're filming or taking up parking. Hey, we're going to be here. If there's any questions or concerns, this is who you should reach out to. We have you do this if like there's any simulated violence that may cause some concern to the public, especially if there's a drone shoot. So this just, and you would send this to us and we would, maybe edit it a little bit and then we would send you the approved notice. But this just gives you an idea of what a filming notice looks like. So something about filming late at night. So normal permitting hours are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So, filming outside of these hours, you have to conduct a filming survey in the area that you want to film. So prior to COVID, our process was a little more rigorous. And then we revamped it during COVID to sort of mirror LA, which was, it's been, hopefully we'll see, because I think only 1 or 2 productions have done it during COVID. So it's now a little easier. Productions, before would have to maybe go out and survey and knock door to door and connect with the neighborhood a lot more. And during COVID, we're like, oh well, we want to be conscientious that we maybe should be knocking on doors and trying to speak to the public. So, and also this is a tool that's more of like gathering information from the neighbor. We want to know their concerns rather than saying to the neighborhood, here, we want you to approve this filming, because this really isn't about them approving it. Our director has the ability to approve filming during these hours. We just want to gauge neighborhood concerns. We want to see what are the issues so that we can ask a production to help mitigate those. So the process can take up to 2 weeks. So, if you're thinking of doing something late night, and talk to us, and then we can walk you through this process. And then some neighborhoods where you don't have to do this because maybe there's no residences. This is really about, if you're filming in particular neighborhoods that have, people living, and it could even, even if you're in hotels, we may ask you to survey certain areas if you're filming near a hotel. So that gives you a little idea about that filming survey process. So some additional support that we do is that we coordinate with SFMTA for rentals and cable cars, the streetcars, minibuses. There are additional costs for those. Again, if you're just doing a project and you're not using our rebate, you would just be paying those out of your own pocket. But we have a great relationship with the cable cars. So there's some productions that have been able to, what we do call hop on, hop offs. If you're really small, a few people, you can hop onto a revenue cable car and shoot something, complying with the health order, and you just pay the fare of like what it, costs to be on the cable car. And we also work with like shooting on muni platforms or anything that's mini operated. And again, we coordinate with SFPD for your police officers for any traffic control or public safety. And there are costs for SFPD. Generally, it's about $120 to $130 an hour, and there's a 4-hour minimum. And again, if it's like nighttime, their rates can go up a little bit. And again, just, once your permit has been approved, you want to always keep a copy of your permit with you at all times. Because if you're asked by any businesses or property owners or other people, you want to show them, your permit that you're approved for whatever filming, because it does happen. People do come and ask and want to know what you're doing. So that gives you that sense. I wanted to just quickly talk about just some safety suggestions. I added this in here. I usually do this when I also talk to students when they're about to go shoot their thesis films or whatever films. And We took this because, again, as I said in the beginning, was that there have been some incidences lately of some crew being robbed, and we want just to think about, if you're out and doing production, just how to be safe and what are some tips. And I think it wasn't Tasha, was it Robin? I think after my presentation, we'll add in the chat.
I actually just added it now.
Oh, great, thank you.
And if people can, all you have to do is click on it. It's in the chat. You just click on the icon and it should download right away.
Yeah, and those are some safety considerations that we created a few years ago when there was another kind of incidences of some robberies that were happening to production crews. I don't know if you remember, where it was one of the NBC or one of the news crews were robbed on port property, right by the Embarcadero one early morning. And so we got together with the community and with other commissions to sort of talk about the concerns and how to be safe. And so we created this document. And so some of that is pulled from here, which I wanted to talk about. So, and, like whenever possible, use a buddy system when you're on location and with crew, especially working at night. Be cautious of any equipment that you may be carrying or displaying in public. Always check your environment, especially when location scanning, and know when to hide your camera, phone, etc. I don't also know if you had what a location manager a few years back, sadly, was up on Twin Peaks. I think he was actually just shooting the sunrise. I don't think he was on the job, but he was robbed and sadly was shot and didn't survive. And I know that Rec and Park has tried to make some changes up there regarding safety and having, but these aren't things to sort of, I think we just need to be aware. And like this next bullet is like, there's safety in numbers. So just trying to be with a group or your company when you can. Big thing is to not leave anything visible in your vehicle. I think we all know that, but seriously, I was working, Academy of Art was shooting something for our office, a little promo video, and we just came to go visit them. And right before and Palace of Fine Arts is so notorious for break-ins. It's so sad, right there on the street. But literally moments before, they were just on the lawn, just right there. And somebody drove, they've got a great system. They drive by, break the window, and took the camera out of the back seat. And they were right there. I mean, literally right there. And we actually had another production just like a week or so ago, say the same thing, that they were literally on the curb. And what happens is they drive by and they break the window. So it's kind of hard to get. So anyway, just store equipment in your trunk, but don't do it when you arrive at the location. You do it before you get to that location, so no one sees that you put it there. And if you can't afford police, call the non-emergency number and ask them to connect you to the local district station where you're filming. And then ask them to do, let them know in your video filming and your times, and ask them to, see if a patrol officer can come and patrol by and whenever possible. I think that's been something that SCPD said that, they could potentially do. Again, there's a lot more information on that handout, but I think a big takeaway is letting it go. If you're approached and someone has, and they want your equipment, you've got to give it up. Don't try to struggle for it. Your life is so much more valuable. And often, again, production insurance will cover the expense of the camera. I know you may lose footage, and trust me, someone took, in an international experience, someone took my camera and I lost a lot, but it could have been worse, right? So I don't want to end on that note. So I'm going to end with filming under COVID, which has been really fascinating. And our office really worked really hard with the health officer from last June to open up filming. Um, and I don't want to sort of, I am going to toot our horn here because it was really challenging to open up filming. Other cities wouldn't do it around us, and we kind of led it. And, we worked with Jim McElveen and other cities to say, hey, this is how we can do it safely. Suzanne and I became experts in, like, I don't know, feels like COVID and how to do it. We were researching and studying and figuring out what the unions were doing. And we would write health memos to the health officer to say, please open up filming. And this is what it can look like. So we really wrote the guidelines on how filming was going to open up at all the different stages. So I don't know if people engaged with getting permits, but in the beginning it was like you could have only 10 people, and then we pushed, and then we got 20. And then when Shang-Chi was here, the Marvel film, they had to have pods or groups of 20 in a location at one time. So I worked with them on their permit, and it was hard to figure out how to navigate and do that safely. And then we were like, okay, you can have a face covering off, and this is how you can do it safely. So it was a very intense year. It's amazing to see where we're at now, because I don't have a lot, like filming under COVID previously, there was a lot more restrictions, and those have been lifted. And so what it is now is that you really kind of you're following the Cal OSHA rules and regulations. If you're working under a union, you are following those union guidelines. We don't have restrictions on count anymore, like cast and crew count in a location. Face coverings right now, it's just following the base overall health order. So if you're going to have your face covering off a talent, they should be vaccinated and or tested, right? Which I think everybody is very comfortable doing at this point. And so these just give you some of the kind of guidelines right now, which is very basic. It's like we just ask that you have a screening process for which you're screening your personnel or crew. And again, if they report symptoms, that you have a protocol for that. And again, what well-fitted face coverings or masks should be. So that's just a little kind of where we're at now with COVID. And that sort of right now kind of just ends a little bit about what we, us, and I look forward to working with all of you and hopefully connecting more.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, let me stop my screen sharing. Stop share.
We
Okay.
look forward to working with you in the future. My very first film, you guys, gave me all my permits, and you gave me my police officers, and I felt like I had my very first permit, and I made the very first HD film that year, feature film in San Francisco because of you guys. So.
Oh, wonderful.
And you're there for Oakland as well, like when, there's no commission, right? So we really appreciate, and under these circumstances with COVID, you guys are going up and beyond and writing all the protocols and making sure it's safe. But also, the more you talked about our city, we have such an absolutely stunning city. It is an amazing backdrop to make films in, and we're all navigating that with COVID, but also navigating that with what was happening with San Francisco before COVID. So, to get it back, I remember New York just being horrific years ago, and then film came in and it really boosted their economy. And I really hope that happens again here because, the arts are what save us. They keep us sane. So thank you so much for coming tonight. Does anyone have any questions? Will the presentation be available afterwards? Yes, we are recording.
Are you speaking about the actual slides, or are you speaking about the actual presentation? Oh, okay.
It was just a question. I wasn't sure. I didn't
okay, yeah. Is it possible to share the slide deck that you had with the group? Okay, great. Yeah. Yes. May I share it now in the chat? Would you mind, Manijay?
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
So I was looking at the website, and you guys also have a list. You have a couple different links there for reel. So for crew. which is nice that you guys offer that, because I'm sure there's people that come in. I saw somebody here was saying, I'm a PA, I need work, you know, I'd like to intern for you. And then I went on your site and I looked earlier today and I was like, oh, they do have the reel up there, and you have resources. So that's kind of nice to be able, so if you're a member and you're not on reel or you're not on our directory, you need to get, you know, that. And that's great that you guys have that resource.
Yeah, and it's great if there's places where, again, we can plug. So being able to post yourself on Real Directory, and if you are a resource, and you have a place where people can put, then we can direct them to that. It's always this interesting position we are in, because as a city agency, we can't recommend any person.
Yeah.
So what we say is, here are these resources that you can go find crew. And we are trying to look at a better tool, because we often get people that say, hey, I'm a PA, where can I post my information, or where can I, you know, find out about a production that's low, you know, needs support. And we have productions that come in and saying, okay, or we know productions coming in and we don't know where they're getting their PAs, and we want to direct them to something that feels like, come on, you know, find some local folks instead of bringing your PAs from LA. So we're really trying to work in this next year about a central hub that people can post, you know, their information. And, you know, that may be through one of another agency, or that may be something that's part of, because we're also part of the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. And there's some tools that those departments have. And so we're looking at ways, again, that we can
update.
Yeah, and so there's a link between, you know, people that are interested in working and production companies that are seeking, you know, positions.
And Donna Lisa had a question. She was asking if there's a way for actors to get information about what projects are coming to town, or what projects are in town.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think a couple of good resources, checking in with SAG. I mean, SAG, you know, my experience tends to be supportive. So seeing if there's, you know, and I don't know how that feels to others, but asking them. We can also checking in with us periodically, because we don't, like, literally we would know maybe a month in advance, a couple weeks out. So, and sometimes what we can do is like, oh, you know, we know if they're hiring extras, what the casting agency is. I would also say asking casting agencies as well. Sometimes in our social media, we may post that if somebody's looking for, again, predominantly they may come to us about extras. But again, I would say SAG or the local casting agencies, and checking them with us periodically.
And also what about crew?
The crew would be the same. Like if reaching out to us and asking, again, if you're part of the union, then, you know, checking with your union. And depending, because if it's a big position, I mean, if it's a union job, then they're going to pull from, you know, that roster. So that's what I would say was, you know, check with your local. And that's what it kind of tends to be the case, right? With the bigger positions, unless you're okay, you know, you don't mind being a PA, then there may be opportunities for that. Yes, bigger question. How do you get into the union? That is something
That's my next one.
So Keely, what work do you do? And I think we talked about, you talked a little bit about yourself earlier, right? Let me try to remember.
Let me turn my video on so you can see. Yeah, so I'm currently a teaching artist for a nonprofit called Real Oakland, which was started by this wonderful filmmaker. But I, like, long-term, I want to be like a narrative, like, feature film director. So I'm still trying to, like, bulk up my resume and kind of get connected to the right people. So I don't know if PAs are a union, or I'm still new to learning about the narrative film world and getting connected to everyone. So yeah.
Yeah. So one of the PAs tend to not necessarily be part of the union, in my experience, but one of the great unions that we have here is IATSE Local 16. And some of those positions, and I think part of it is thinking as you kind of, embark on this, is thinking what department you want to work in, right? You say you want to be a narrative director, which is amazing and great. If you want to also, like, I just speaking from experience too, for me, like I thought I was going to be an independent film director. And then I got a house and have a mortgage. And I'm like, oh, I can't be an independent filmmaker. I'm like, how am I going to pay for this? So I need a job. So thinking, and then what maybe grad school didn't prepare me for was actually work, right? It was like, oh, how am I going to and I think all of you can maybe share that experience of stories. Like, how do you sustain yourself in your art form as women and work, and the many hats we have to wear? I applaud all of you that you can do that, because I couldn't do that. And I'm finally in this position now, after many years of working in various capacities, that I can actually do what I love. And I'm not creating film, and that's okay. That's where I'm at now. But I'm helping so many other people with their projects, and that's fulfilling. So I'm just saying that because I think stick with that passion of you wanting to be a director, and take classes. Like I went to college, but I took all the classes at City College, and I loved their film program. And then I did my MFA. So you've just got to immerse yourself in taking classes and studying and being in this community, which hopefully you can participate and be on crew and see what you like. But you have to work. I think the great thing is making your stuff, but thinking how you can work in the industry in a position and seeing what department you like working in, so that you make connections, so that can help get you to work to make your projects, and where you build and network with other crew, and then they will want to support you. But I find that, and hopefully you all have words of wisdom for each other around that, and I know that you do that. But that's just what I want to say is, you first, I think what I found with the union, Jim Beaumont is the president of IATSE, and he's actually a film commissioner and a really lovely man. And if they're always looking at resumes for people to come in the union to positions, but you've got to have some experience. And so, is it Kelly or Keely?
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, it's Keely. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Keely, yeah. So just thinking, if you're still trying to get your foot in, like if you have some film background experience, then definitely create a resume and reach out to them. But you'd want to think about what IATSE, maybe look at their website, but like that's a lot of departments are part of that union. Art department, grip, electric, wardrobe, maybe, or no, I think they're a different department. But just to give you, I would just say take classes, start, networking, because being part of the union is one of the steps, and it's not necessarily like the first one, but you can definitely reach out and sort of say like, hey, what do I need to start to get on that ladder to be a part of the union.
I am so happy you said that, because I think there's so many people that get involved in film, and had I known what it took to do independent film, I would not have become a filmmaker. So, I mean, the bottom line is you have to have a job if you're going to be an independent filmmaker on the side. Hopefully it's in film, because then you continue to learn, right? But you're 100% right. And you being so honest and upfront, because so many people are disillusioned. They think they're going to get chosen and then they're going to have the big job. And it just doesn't work that way. You have to still pay your bills and you still have to eat. So you have to, and hopefully getting a job within the field that you're interested in is a great way to cultivate and educate yourself. and pay the bills at the same time and still have your dream and go for that thing. But I'm so happy you said that, because I was just talking about that this morning, and I've been talking about it for the last few weeks, and it's just not something that everybody gets the memo on.
This is Tasha. I just want to chime in on that as well, as someone who's been working in and out of film, but always in the narrative storytelling space. And so while you're finding work in your field and developing your craft, I would also study and practice telling stories, whether it's in your writing constantly, having a writing practice to develop your own ideas into narrative pieces, or creating small projects and continuously creating small projects and having your own crews. And it really, making big films is just a big way of you're making small films first. You have to keep working on it. So in your classes, learn the things you don't know how to do. You want to be a director, you have to know all about all the different departments. So but most first and foremost is developing your narrative storytelling skills and your voice. So while you're paying your bills and while you're working and all of that, always remember that story is king. So my 2 cents.
Yes, exactly. No, that's perfect. And it's again, finding your voice. There's like a couple women, people I've worked with recently in the past couple of years who were just starting out. And they actually did the SF film. They applied for the SF film residency with Film House. And I want to say, Keely, that's a great resource to look into, because that provides, it's, like a year-long residency for filmmakers to support you at any part of your production to make your film. It can be a short, it could be a documentary, it could be a narrative. And it's a great support network for filmmakers. And they provide all sorts of resources to you. And these two women that I've worked with who were, very starting out. But, one was a location manager who had just actually started working on locations, who had actually been an assistant, and it's not part of the union, but just, working on a couple stuff, actually was the location manager for Women as Losers. And then I found out, she's like, talk to me about her film was, and I don't think totally has a big film background or had a lot of experience, but applied for the Film House and actually got the residency and and that's, a huge win. And I was so happy to hear, because again, I think we sometimes think that you need to have all these degrees and all this experience. And sometimes if you've got, like what Tasha's saying, finding your voice, finding that story you want to say, because especially organizations, they want to support unique voices. So I think that's important. And another, Vicky Ponce, a few years back was just sort of coming up, and, she's made some short films and got into was part of Sundance. And again, you have to have that passion. You got to make that time. And that's what I'm always so amazed for people that can juggle that, because I couldn't juggle both of those. That was really hard for me. I really focused on being a new mom, and I had to drop film for a while, thinking about my own creative stuff. So I just commend any woman, because I know we have so many hats that we have to wear, so that you can, foster that creative side with the family or home or your personal and work. So kudos to anyone who can manage that.
I also want to add to that is really building up your networks. And I just stay connected with people you're with in the program now. Join Facebook groups, follow people on Instagram, see what projects people are doing, and seeing how you can get involved with it. And unfortunately, in the film world, there's a lot of having to put in time, which I wish it wasn't the case, that you could actually be compensated for your time. But it's about really making those connections, and you're going to hold those connections for a very, very long time, or you hope to do that, because you never know when you're going to run into somebody again, or where somebody calls you up, like, hey, I'm working on this project. I need a director for this. And I thought of you because of that thing we did 5 years ago, that like 2-minute piece on, like down in alley and, downtown Oakland or something that they threw together. So just really value each person that you meet, even though they might not immediately have that connection right there, but you never know where people are going to be several years down the line.
Totally agree with
Yeah.
that. I think also just being here tonight, you're doing, that gives you the support. You're meeting other women, you're seeing in the chat all these different kinds of job thoughts, wants, dreams, and what people are actually working on. So it's a great way to connect. And this organization has always helped me when it came to, and including the film that I'm working on now. I have several of the women on our board that are working on it, and I have an all female crew. Ray has a question. Rhea, do you want to ask your question? Because I'm a little, I think you could probably elaborate a little bit better on your question.
Oh, it would probably really help. It's Ray, and my pronouns are they, them. One thing with women in film is I think it would be helpful if it would be a little more inclusive of people that are non-binary as well. I've got a kid here, so just hold on a second. But yeah, there's a film program it's a national program that does like internships. Just one second.
No worries. One thing I was going to add, and maybe when Ray comes back, they can jump in.
Yeah.
But okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if it would be helpful if I had the name of it, but if Portland, Oregon has it, then seems like San Francisco should have it. It's a program that works with internships on the productions that are happening in the city. I was going to do that myself, but then I ended up like moving right after that. So I was just throwing it out there, asking it,
So
Yeah, I'd love to know more about it. If you could find the name or let us know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll try to find the name. I couldn't find it right now, and then I've got kid and all that. But and so if you don't know of it right now, most likely probably you're not doing it. But that would be something I could try to find the name of it and then like connect with you or whatever. Because yeah, it would be great if we could do something like that here.
Yeah, please. That would be amazing.
great suggestion.
I just want to also chime in here that Ray, we do have a diversity and inclusion statement that we have incorporated into our bylaws as an organization, and we cherish those relationships, and we invite you to check out our website on that topic, and invite you to become a member if you're not already. And yeah, thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thanks.
Something I was just going to add that I think Robin had mentioned is definitely again about the networks and it can actually be a pro and con sometimes with film, is that it really, and this can be a cliche, is like it really is about who you know and more about you. What I found is with crews, they hire the same people because they trust them, they know them. They have a relationship with them. And so that's great, so that it really, you have to kind of really advocate and build connection and build those relationships with people so that they want to bring you back for future productions. And sometimes I know that can be challenging. And I think that's why with like larger productions, you've got a department head and they hire the same people, and it can often be the same white men, right? And we need to break that, so that we have more women and people of color, women of color that are in getting a foot in the door. And I think that's what we were trying to do with our internship. which we provided, with the matrix, and we're, great, trying to think of just more opportunities so we can create that pathway for people that are trying to get in the industry. And again, we're really looking at, all ages, but really specifically for young adults. I think for San Franciscan young adults, because I think that's the hard part is you're starting with this education. You're like, well, where do I go? What can I do? And so just, building some experience. So it is really hard to, constantly have to feel like you're putting yourself out there. But that is really, it is about getting on, somebody's radar, and then they will hire you. They will want to have you back. So, kind of busting yourself and working hard, and
Also, I just, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, that's
To
it.
add on to your statement, I remember there are several rental houses that have lists of crew. I'm blanking on one of them here in the East Bay now. God, it's a prominent one.
Is it Tom Ranahan Productions?
Ranahan had a crew list that was very active, and people would actually call of non-union folks for all kinds of roles on a crew, and paying lots of paying crew jobs there. So check out Ranahan. I don't know if they still have that list. They should.
Yeah, Susanna was going to email him to ask him, because we're trying to pull all the different resources together. We had a meeting with BayCat and BayVac to talk about, how to again pull this network for production assistance. So we're going to reach out again to Ranahan and see if that is still, like, are you still creating an active list, and who comes to you and how does that work? So again, we can just point people in a few directions and or work on what we're trying to build.
Also join our Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area Facebook. All of our socials, people post on their jobs that are open or that they're looking to work. That is another option as well.
And our WIF chat.
But on our socials.
Oh, I'm sorry. WIF chat, our email.
And WIF chat.
Server. So that is a perk of being a member, is being able to be on the WIF chat.
Actually, a WIF chat is open to the public. Actually.
Oh yes, it is. You're right. Gosh.
Yeah, WIF chat is for anyone, whether you're a member or not. Join WIF chat, be a part of that larger community for people who can connect. People ask any question, and just be a part of the community there. So that's a free aspect of what we do here to help us build community. Thank you for remembering to say that, Julie.
I just was thinking that's where I've hired every single person. Is originally we were cinema chicks, and then now we're, and so it's like you just go on and you're like, oh, help, I need 4 Eastside Sushi. We need 6 camera people today. We need 6 reds today, and cinematographers that can handle them and seconds. And we got them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I want to just take a moment to thank you. We're getting on the last, well, no, it's 7:42. We have another 45 minutes. Great. Do we have more questions? We can keep going, and then we'll do some announcements. We're going to open up the floor in a little bit to have community announcements, announcing projects that are happening, events that are happening, announcing personal wins, announcing or asking for any kind of help on your own project, and also looking for collaborators. So we'll get to that toward the end of this meeting. But if there's we have time right now to ask more questions and to talk more about filming here in the Bay Area if we want to keep going for a little bit longer. Any other questions in the chat, or just jump on in? I actually had a question. You were talking about, at one point you were in your slide presentation, you were talking about parking when you having San Francisco so difficult to find places for your crew and to have space, and you mentioned that you can help sort of set that open up spaces or get a permit for those spaces, and you gave some advice around that. I know that big crews get to have lots of spaces, and then do they pay for that, or would we have to pay if a small independent crew was filming a film in a busy, very congested area? What are we looking at in terms of paying for a permit or paying for the service to have that, like say 3 spaces even open up for ourselves and for our crew? What does that look like? What does that process look like, and how much?
Yeah. So it's not, so let's say you're making a short film and your budget is under 100,000. That permit fee is $50 a day. So you'd pay, and you're shooting, let's say 2 days. So it's $100, and you want to take up 3 parking spaces and you're shooting at one location. So the posting vendor, and we have a list of them. I mean, I don't know if you all know, like Harry Stein is one of the posting vendors who's been around for 30 something years doing this work. He's one of them. So some of them would charge just like a couple $100, if that, you know what I mean? Like, it's not very much. Unfortunately, we used to allow self-posting pre-COVID, and that got taken away because we're all working remotely. And honestly, I think it's not necessarily coming back. But because these posting vendors are pretty, it's not very much money, you know? And, you know, so that's honestly your largest expense, and potentially like insurance, you know, like you've got to provide insurance even for the parking, like the production insurance, which, you know, again, we need to see general auto liability and workers' comp. So you've got no employees, you can get a waiver. Obviously, if you're parking production vehicles, you got to show us some auto liability. But let's say you're just renting a U-Haul truck. So then just buy the extended auto liability for up to $1 million, which may be like $50 or something, you know, when you buy U-Haul, because we've got students that do this all the time. And I walk students through this process because they're like, I want some parking. And you know, previous years, I think I don't know, maybe our office had a different reputation. I think that sometimes it used to be challenging for students to get a permit. I think I remember hearing that when I was a student. There was like, San Francisco is so hard to work with. So now we're like, wait, why aren't we doing, you know, years back, we started like, of course, we're going to offer this to students, parking. So you're renting a vehicle, just buy the extended auto liability, you know, that's an example, you know, and sometimes because the city does ask for up to $1 million for auto, and we've had productions that are like international, and they're, you know, shooting a documentary and they don't have auto liability, but they're renting a car. And I just said, just when you get to the airport, scan and send me your contract, buy the auto liability. And it's sometimes just a couple, you know, it's about extra $100 or whatever it is, and you're covered. And that fulfills that requirement, you know?
Right. And then in terms of what are some of the production insurance companies that you work with? I know that I use Snap and Associates out of San Diego. They provided me with production insurance for a couple years. That was who I used, but they're not local. Do you work mostly with local companies, or
No, everywhere.
Recommend? Right.
Yeah, no, they're everywhere. I used to see, what is it, Gallagher and Associates in LA. I used to see people, is that one? Larry Walsh is somebody that does, he's up here locally.
I love him. I love him.
Yeah.
He's like always, he's the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, you know, local productions use him. So really you kind of have to shop around. I mean, because part of it is you want to make sure you're cutting down your expenses, right? And sometimes your shoot is so low risk that you shouldn't be spending a lot of money on insurance, right? I mean, you're like, we've got 10 people, we're just a camera tripod. And so you shop around. You can, I'm referencing what it was years ago, a couple hundred. I think it's, I mean, tell me, is it feel the same, or is it a little more expensive now?
I haven't had insurance for COVID, so I wouldn't know this time.
Yeah, I'm doing a documentary. I'm locked in a house. I'm not hurting anybody. No insurance. No insurance. Maybe I'm hurting myself.
A few years ago, our production insurance, which was general liability, was the first year was 800. We got it through Fractured Atlas, and then it went up. It didn't quite double, but it went over. It was like $1,200 or $1,300 for a year.
Yeah.
So it was a lot for a small, and we were 2-people production crew.
Wow.
So it was kind of like, and it was like it was a lot of money, and we needed to have it because we were shooting at a health clinic in Massachusetts, and they're like, you need general liability. And we're like, okay, I guess we'll be legit this time.
Yeah, I know. It can be a pain. You're like, can't I just go out and do this? But again, like I said, shop around because there's some stuff that you can, get online. And sometimes, an agency may, what is the term? It's fiscally sponsor you, or, if you're doing something on their behalf. So sometimes if you're creating a piece for a nonprofit, you said have them be the person taking out the permit, meaning just the contractor, and then have them provide the insurance. So sometimes, depending what you're doing, that's always a way to sort of do a workaround.
Kelly, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm doing a small short in LA. It's a 2-day shoot, and the DP is bringing his own equipment truck and equipment. Would you expect him to have all that insurance for his gear and vehicle?
He would probably have it if he's renting it, because in order to take it out, I think
he's not renting it, it's his gear.
Oh, okay.
He's a DP that comes with his own kit and everything. All of it, like lighting, camera, everything.
Yeah. So for us, we're just looking at general liability insurance.
Okay.
So yeah, general liability. So I know some places they like it's, and again, if you're renting it from a house, they want to see a different kind of, they may ask you to buy their insurance, or they want to see that you have production, equipment insurance. I forget the term. So for us, we need to just see the auto, we need to see auto liability and general liability. It's like general commercial liability, and then workers' comp. But again, you can get waivers for auto and workers' comp if you, again, don't have employees, and 2, if you're just taking public transportation or Uber and Lyft to and from location. And that could be a workaround.
And would an employee count when you're paying a DP, or is that a 1099?
No, because
different?
Yeah, because he's an independent contractor.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
The place where you're filming may ask you for insurance, though. So
we're filming at the director's house, but we may still need to get a permit to do a street location as well. So that's why I want to go ahead and get the insurance probably.
It depends on who you're working with as well. So for instance, I was working with San Mateo County Parks Department, and San Mateo County doing several pieces with them. And as a government organization, they required me to have a certain level of insurance. So I had to make sure to get that as well. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was carrying insurance for years at a time. But often you can probably just get project specific insurance. So
yeah. And an interesting thing about LA, like, I don't know where you're shooting, but LA, it's, I would check because Film LA's website, they tend to be the permit processor for a bunch of different cities or areas within LA. And I think LA asks for you to do a permit for even private property, which is, so you may, but again, I don't know where you're shooting within LA, but you may want to look into that, which is interesting. So for like us, private property, we don't. We did come up with an issue kind of recently about an indie project that was working on with us for some street stuff, and then they were doing some interiors that didn't need a permit with us, but they were working really late hours, and hadn't done some outreach with that building, and people came to us to sort of kind of mitigate some of those concerns. And so even though like you may not get a permit with us, like the city's noise ordinance would still comply, would still be an effect for a production if you're not getting permitted, right? So you kind of want to be mindful if when you're in an area and you're filming, and especially interiors, that you're kind of outreaching to people so that they know what you're doing. Because the last thing, and this is for everybody, the last thing you want to get done is getting shut down, right? Because and this is for an unpermitted production on private property, right? In the San Francisco I'm talking about, because again, I think the hours are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And so outside of that, if there's noise activity and you're not permitted, hate to have like a resident call and complain and then you get shut down. So
thank you.
It's always very strange, and it happens when there's one person who's not excited about how many people are standing on the street or talking too loud near their window, or it happens. I've seen it, and they will challenge you and call the cops, or demand that you go away or whatever. I've seen so many scenarios of just in my different experiences of people sometimes they just don't want you to be having fun.
No, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you do want to just have your ducks in a row if possible, and have a permit if you need it, and have it all together with you and with your PAs so that they can pull it out when you need it and present it, so that you could just be. And also, this is goes into a whole different conversation about producing or being the producer or someone on the set, is that making sure everyone in your crew understands very clearly that, if there's a complaint, to literally just be as calm and supportive and receptive and, thank you for that. And we'll send the message over. You don't want any conflicts. It's just not good.
Yeah, and I find getting a permit can be intimidating. And, I've always been like, guerrilla filmmaking, get it done. Really, my permit has saved my butt several times where, we were going to get shut down. I have the permit. I did my due diligence, and having my insurance has saved my butt when we've crashed a car or broken a camera or scratched someone's living room cabinet that was $5,000. I don't know who's got those kind of cabinets, not me. So just getting that, sometimes you feel like it's not worth it, but sometimes it is worth it. Depends on what you're shooting. So I do think sometimes we think, oh God, I don't want to go to the office, or I don't want to have to ask, but it's just really not that big of a deal.
Sounds good.
And it's a good practice, right? I always say, especially when we talk about students, because I'm like, you're going to want to, this is your career path. This is what you're going to have to do. So learn it. And again, I've had so many calls to people that get frustrated with me. They're like, oh my God, this is so annoying. This is frustrating. I'm like, I hear you. Just be patient. You're feeling overwhelmed because unfortunately you're making a short film and you're wearing too many hats because you're the location manager, the producer, the writer, director. Yeah, I get it. It's too much. So, right. So yes, you're frustrated. I'm so sorry. You should be thinking on the creative aspects of your shoot, and you're worrying about sending me a permit in a fillable form and I can't read it or open it, right? So, we're patient, and, just, it's good to just get in there and get practice.
And it's great that you and Susanna are both filmmakers, and so that you have that background and understand it. You seem very compassionate and understanding to all of it.
Yeah, because I've done the permits and I've not done the permits. You know what I mean? You can see stuff I made a permit, and then when I was a student, and I was like, oh, we don't have time. Let's just go out and shoot. So I get it.
So I'm hoping that there are some people who are in the audience that are working on some projects. If someone that's working on a project and want to share with us, turn on your microphone and maybe announce your name and share your project. We'd love to hear about it. And if you have any questions, you can ask as well.
I think Nicole had a question about permitting for an indie project.
Yeah, I can also answer Tasha's little bit about my current project. So I'm an emerging filmmaker. I'm also 41, so I'm pretty late I didn't go to film school. I just started a year ago. So I wrote my first feature.
Great.
And I actually, yeah, I just got
It's never too late. It's never too late.
That's what I'm learning. And I just got into Sundance's feature film program, the second round.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my feature is about my uncle, who is an Asian American civil rights student activist at SF State, and who helped create the very first ethnic studies program in the nation. He was part of the Third World Liberation Front, who's, was backed by the Black Panthers and was huge amongst solidarity at that time. And so my question is also, what kind of permits do I need to film at SF State? And is that through the SF Film Commission, or is that through SF State itself?
Yeah, through SF State directly. And have you been in touch? Well, I don't know if you've been in touch with them at all. So yeah, you'd work with them. I would probably start even with just are you going to be shooting at the College of Ethnic Studies?
Yes.
Yeah, so reaching out to them and seeing what you need. And if you need a context with this, I mean, the cinema department wouldn't be doing the permitting process for you, but you can talk to them. And is it narrative or documentary?
It's narrative.
Okay, it's narrative. So in that case, yeah, I would talk to them. And if you need, I'm trying to think of the latest contact that we have there. But I can also potentially connect you. I think she's actually named Amanda Todd, who used to actually run the SF Film residency too. And she is the dean of, trying to remember what department, but we just had a meeting with her to talk about doing a career panel at SF State with productions. So so you haven't done the exploratory yet, talking to SF State College. Okay, yeah, so you're just gonna start there. But yeah, so definitely stay connected and stay in touch, because if you plan to shoot anything else, like you want to shoot some B-roll or establishing stuff in the city, right? I don't know if your story takes you outside of campus.
In Daly City, yeah.
Yeah, so Daly City would be part of San Mateo County, and they would be a different permit office than us. But if you're going on San Francisco city streets, then you would work with us.
Yeah, I'm thinking, if I don't get into the final round of Sundance, I do want to shoot proof of concept to hopefully get, funders and producers interested in this.
Yeah, well, you're on your way. I'll put my email also in the chat for anyone.
Perfect.
Thank you. So yeah, of course. Good luck.
Yeah.
Keep us posted. Keep me posted.
I will.
Who else would like to share something they're working on?
Oh, I have I'd like to share. My name's Carol Hall. I am in development on a period piece taking place in 1911 San Francisco Chinatown about human trafficking. And we're still raising money, and we're hopefully we're at the point where we're getting the script polished and have done a marketing research thing. And I think the next step is to get a loose attachment of hopefully an A-list actress to star in it. But I think I did talk to Susanna at length about filming in San Francisco, and I would love to film in San Francisco because that's where the story takes place. But I have a producing partner, and she's thinking, well, I think we can do it for $2.5 million if we go someplace else, like Seattle or Vancouver or someplace like that. And yeah, I think it also depends a lot on who we get to be the star, and how much money we can get from big movie investors to fund the thing. So hopefully I will be talking with your commission within the next couple of years at most. Let's talk about this, how to film here. But I do have an ask, and this is sort of not related to my project, but we're doing this table read for women in film next month. And I have a TV pilot, and I need some South Asian actors and actresses to be in it. I've asked around, and people at first they said yes, and then they backed out. And so I need, right now, I need a 15-year, someone who can play or read the part for a 15-year-old South Asian boy, a 13-year-old South Asian girl, and I think I have a boy and the mother. But if any of you know anybody who might like to take a stab at acting from the comfort of their own home through Zoom, then please message me in the chat. I'm going to put my my email address here. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. If anyone's interested in learning more about the table read, feel free to go to our website and check it out. There's information there and the registration link. And I'll type in our website in the chat. Anyone else have any projects?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Danny.
Oh no, you're shown, Sophie. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. So I'm currently applying this TV pilot that I wrote to this incubator program in Canada. So I'm actually Canadian, and I moved here around 2 years ago. And it's a sci-fi TV show about a guy who involuntarily traveled back from the future, and then he got stuck in some pretty strange situations, and he met these two other people who will basically build a time machine with him to help him get back to the future. So I will find out next month on November 15th whether I got in or not. If I did get in, then there will be an 8 months period of training with industry professionals in Canada, and we will get $28,000, I think, to make a proof of concept in the end. So I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed, and hopefully they'll accept me.
Wow. Great.
Good luck
for you.
You're the best.
Thank you. What is the name of the incubator?
I'm not sure. It's organized by the National Screen Institute of Canada. Let me just search that up real quick. It's called NSI Series Incubator. Yeah.
Okay. It just sounds terrific. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep us updated on our socials of your progress, Sophie, please.
Will do.
And Dan,
Sure. So I'm actually really excited to share that I just premiered a short video that I made. It was my first production. And if you were a fan of Game of Thrones, I have recapped Game of Thrones using chess pieces and telling the story. I just wanted to shoot something, and it was at the height of the pandemic, and I'm primarily a writer, but I wanted to learn more about production, but I couldn't get actors. My dog wasn't going to cooperate. And so I looked around. I played chess as a kid, and I was like, oh, I have all these chess sets. What story can I tell? Kings, Queens. Oh, Game of Thrones. So I'll just post a link to the YouTube video in the chat. If you're a fan of the show, enjoy. It should help you get caught up before the next show comes out early next year. So just called Chess Times Chess and Game of Thrones.
That's great. You should put it on our socials so that people can actually, every once in a while somebody will post a short that they've made, and I'm like, oh my God, I love all of the talent. So that'd be great to see.
I can't wait to see it.
Morning coffee and shorts. I love that.
There's a director named Todd Haynes who got cult director status for creating a film called Superstar, this Karen Carpenter story that she is a singer, and in Barbies, and used all
that is brilliant. I mean, it's a little off.
It's a serious story, and it was done in Barbies, and actually I think it's even not allowed to be shown on screen because it was done with Barbies, but
yeah, I don't think they had the rights to that story.
Excellent story, and it established him as a director, and he went on to create other films like, I mean, there's Far From Heaven and others that I haven't actually, I haven't seen actually.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
He's amazing.
And such a good idea, and says so much.
So good work, Danny. Keep going.
Yes.
Anyone else want to share a project or an ask or an event announcement or a personal win? Or
Ray and Keely have.
Okay, Ray. Why don't you jump in here?
Oh, yeah. So I am doing post-production of a web series that I shot in June. Shot 4 episodes of it, and it's a queer web series. I posted on the Women in Film thing, and when I was doing that Kickstarter, that was really helpful. And yeah, so now I am trying to push it out, and should be released in like early November.
Awesome. We'll check it out.
Where will it be released?
On YouTube. It's City Folks. It's called City Folks. And we have Instagram and Facebook and stuff, but then also we'll have like a YouTube channel. I mean, it already exists. So City Folks web series.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to put any of the links into the chat, feel free.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's amazing. Everybody's doing so much, and now there's all these different channels like YouTube, or you can just put it up on your Vimeo, or it costs on your Venmo, that's for sure.
Send money to my Venmo.
Yeah, that was my Freudian slip. But I remember when Barry Jenkins was making Medicine for Melancholy in San Francisco, and he made it for I want to say 30 grand. And I know because they all stayed at my house. But back then it's there wasn't really those channels where you could just make your own stuff and put it up. It was you had to make it, and you had to go, and you had to get a rep, and then you had to talk to the rep, and they had to take a portion of it, and you got a distributor. Now you're just distributing your own stuff, right? That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. This is good.
It's funny. I was actually going to mention him as a production that, look where he's gone. And I don't even think he got a permit out for that project.
No, he didn't. I didn't want to say anything about that because
nobody did it. Because I'm like, how did you shoot Dolores Park like this?
Yeah,
without somebody coming in and shutting you down. So
we were gorilla on. Yeah, we were on steroids. We were running, and jumping, and flying. And, yeah, but it turned out to be such a beautiful film, and I think a lot of it kind of went under the radar. It hasn't really ever done anything. I think people eventually will go or back around and check it out. But yeah, it just shows what a beautiful city we have to film in. Such a beautiful city.
Keely, did you have?
Yeah. So I moved down to Oakland just over a month ago, actually, because I was offered this job as a teaching artist with this nonprofit called Real Oakland. And before I moved, I was supposed to shoot my first short narrative film. And then I was offered the job and I never got to do it, but I've started reaching out to local people to help me make my first film. So it's called Jack Danny's, and it's about a screenwriter trying to crack the code on one of her characters. So she kind of like embodies these personality traits of this like old British guy who is like super weird. And she's like, I'm going to learn screenwriting. But, it's later like revealed in the film that, the way she's learning filmmaking is by sleeping with other women who know those areas of filmmaking, and she's learning, it's like a little queer comedy about a filmmaker, which is me. But yeah, so I would take any like advice, support, help. I didn't even consider that I would need a film permit to film in the area. So I'm glad I was listening, but I'm still not sure I know exactly how to do it. But yeah, I just sent the script out to some people. I'm not sure how many people actually read it, but yeah, I am on my way to start making my first film, but I also have like 2 other jobs, and I have to pay bills and do rent and all of that stuff. But I'm on my way to it. But that's my first project that I have, and I directed a documentary for my senior year of college, which is still in the film festival circuit, but would be happy to send it to like individual people if anyone wanted to see it. It's called Embrace Your Pleasure, and it's about femme and female identifying people embracing sensuality and like prioritizing self-pleasure. So yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
So if you have any links, please add, or any information that you want to add to the chat so that we can all kind of jump on it and check things out. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
And where did you move from?
I moved from Washington State. So, and I just moved. I left my hometown on September 7th and got here on the 11th. And so I've been here for just over a month.
Well, welcome.
Look at you already getting in the network.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Manny J, I have a question. She was just talking, Kaylee was just talking about Oakland Film Commission, how to get a permit there. Do they go through you?
No, they go through Jim McElveen.
Okay, wasn't
So
sure.
Oakland, I wonder if they still have their old, I think it's the same website from eons, right? Oakland Film, just Google Oakland Film Office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then and like we shut down for a while. Everybody was furloughed. Like it was very confusing. It was we were going to you guys at one point trying to figure out how to do get those.
Yeah. So Jim's still doing permits, and I think they've probably fully opened up again now.
Are they a full functioning? They're not a full functioning commission like San Francisco.
No, sadly, let's see, how many years has it been? 6+.
We miss Amy Zins. We miss Amy.
So Janet, I don't know if anybody worked with Janet Austin.
Yeah.
She was at the Oakland Film Office for like 10, 11 years.
Yeah,
and then she came to the San Francisco Film Commission and then left, and now she's back. So I get to work with her because I worked with her like over 20 years ago, like my first film permit. So so yes, Miss Amy, and sadly, just Oakland needs to invest in a real functioning office, because Jim McElveen has been doing events for the city, I don't know, over 20 years. He's like does special events like Art and Soul, I think is one of his big projects, and does a lot of other things. And then part-time is film. And a lot, there's been a lot more work, Oakland's been on the map. I'm an Oaklander, so Oakland's been on the map, but it's just a lot more indie projects and other big projects have been coming through, which is really exciting for Oakland. Boots Riley and Blind Spotting, right? So.
Have you done any work with the San Jose Film Commission?
No, and um, they used to have something, and I don't know what it exists now because they don't really have, like, I think an office. I think it's I don't even know how I direct people to the permit because I think people have asked about it, and I think there's some like Silicon Valley something, but there's not a really functioning San Jose kind of, there's no film commission. I think people may have to work, go through some entity to just get a permit, but they don't really have a strong film presence. They have a great film festival, right?
Yeah.
But no.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So Emily, did you have Emily, I see her hand is raised.
She also had a question, or is Hayward under Oakland, and it's not. It's a separate city, and I don't know if they have a film commission or not there. But it is still in Alameda County. So, and I don't know if Alameda County has one, but yeah, going to Oakland for Hayward is for any thing is not a good pathway, will not be helpful.
Yeah, and what I would even just Google search like Hayward film permit and see what comes up, because you would probably get directed to some entity which you have to just get a permit through the city of Hayward, right? And because it's Alameda County doesn't have a commission, and I think the own city would provide the permit and not the county. I think it's different in other places, like Humboldt County you would get a permit through Humboldt County, and for example, has its own commission. The county does.
Cool.
Yeah, I've filmed in smaller cities in which there was just an office in their city administrative building, and I filled out a form, and it's usually way cheaper. Yeah, because there's not a lot. So
we're getting closer. We want to take one more person. Emily, would you like to share your project?
Yeah, I had like a little share and a question. So I'm mostly a writer, and I'm working on a romantic dramedy limited series about everything that happens before dating. And I was sharing with Robin that I'm so excited for my dad to come out next week so he can watch the kids, so I can actually like focus on writing and hopefully like pump it out. So that'll be awesome. And my question is that I've been having this idea for a really cute short film that is truly short, like maybe 4 or 5 minutes, like max. But it's set in a bus, like not a school bus, but like a public bus. And I think I could be creative with how it's filmed and have like everyone who's in the bus, except for the 2 main characters, like wearing masks, and you won't see the masks, so they'll be like face forward and the main characters will be at the back. But I was wondering about like if anyone knows how that could work, or like would I just get in touch with the local like bus system, or if there's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just curious of like where to start if I were to like find that location.
Yeah, so if you're trying to shoot that, for example, in San Francisco, you would start with our office, and you would need to charter. I mean, there's a couple of things you could do. You charter a bus, a muni bus. And right now they're kind of opening up charters. I think they'd be willing to. And it's about, you could look on our website, filmsf.org, under fees. So don't quote me, because I don't want to say the wrong amount, but it may be $300 to $400 an hour, and it's a 2-hour minimum. Did
you say for a charter bus?
To charter a muni bus,
or
for example,
for like a regular like bus?
So there is,
community
gosh,
bus.
Just a regular community bus. There is a place in the East Bay, how they were like saying that is like a museum that they may be chartering buses, like in Fremont. I'll try to think of it.
Would you have to have the driver hire the driver as well for the city bus? Just curious. When you charter
it comes, so like if for Muni and you charter a Muni bus, it comes with the rental. Right now, they're not allowing filming without face coverings in a charter because of it's regardless of what we've been able to do, it's the muni, it's like, you know, the muni's contract, like everyone has to wear a face covering. So, yeah. So you could even just look at like researching just like you want to charter a bus and just those can be a little expensive, right? Because, I think about chartering a bus for a school field trip. I always feel those are really expensive. So I don't know.
What about the trolley? You said that you could jump on and off trolleys and get a couple shots if you wanted to.
On a cable car, yes. And there's also, you can charter the what do you call it? Cable cars on wheels that are private. You can also charter those. You would, if you're filming on a street, you may need to get a permit with us. We can talk more about that. I mean, driving around in the city, but you can rent those kind of buses, even like a party bus, right? You just Google party bus, and shoot on one of those, see if somebody has an old school bus, put it out and say, do you have a school bus that we can use?
Build a set with green windows, green screen windows.
Right. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're definitely in a room full of filmmakers who are all like, you could do this, let's do this. Who are rewriting your whole script for you.
Right, problem solving hats on.
Maddie J, thank you so much for doing this and all the great information. And I just butchered your name, but
you said it good again.
Oh, good.
Give yourself credit, Julie.
Well, I'm not real good at that, but I will tell you this: we really are grateful and sincerely, because you also jumped in and saved the day, and it is such a scary word that you have to go down to the SF Film Commission and you got to get a permit, and you just made it so it's not so scary, and so we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And we're really trying to change that. Sometimes that reputation where people said it's so hard to film in San Francisco, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be about our office. It's about this other perception of a lot of other things. And it's important that we put it out in the community wherever we go, that it's not that way, because we really want, it benefits us all. And everybody in this room when you have more filming in the city, because, we want more visibility. We want more opportunities for everyone here to, work in production. So I think as much as we can start spreading the word of how we're film friendly and we have amazing crews and we've got, beautiful locations, I think that's really essential, that we change sometimes that persona that people can say, because it's not necessarily true. There's challenges, but there's challenges with everything. And you all know that because you make films. So
would it be possible if we co-sponsored a Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area goes to the Film Commission, SF Film Commission Day, and we put it out as a thing where between a certain time, any member or anybody in our community can come in and ask questions, just as a way to support the community and make it an event to come in and ask questions on projects. Is that something that you guys might be open to?
Yeah, we'd love that. I mean, I know that, and I definitely talked to Suzanne about how we should collaborate more. And I think we're actually starting back going into the office. November 1st, part-time. So definitely to look in the future, and also thinking about, depending where we are in COVID, how we can do it in a good, safe way. But, with face coverings on and all that stuff. But I think we can definitely be thinking about it, and I'd love to explore that.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. This has really been a wonderful way to spend my evening and get to know all of you. So thank you for inviting me.
For everyone who's in the audience, I just want to thank you all for being here as well. And if you are a member, We love you, and we're glad that you are here. And if you are not a member of Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area yet, we still love you, and we're glad you're here. And consider becoming a member to get into these kinds of events free, and other events that we have. Check out our website and come and be a part of the community. So
yeah, well, before we leave, I want to mention a few upcoming events. I'm going to try and share my screen. It wasn't working before.
Thank you, Robin.
But let's see if I could do it now. Can people see my screen?
We just see black.
Oh man.
I can try sharing mine.
Yeah, that would be great if you can share yours. Okay. I mean, so first, I really want to thank our community partners, which is Film SF. Waiting. There we go. There we go. So it's the San Francisco Film Commission. Thank you so much for just an amazing event and info session, and you've definitely made it sound less scary and intimidating. The other organization is California Institute. They're the folks who put on Mill Valley Film Festival and Doc Fest. Jewish Film Institute, which is located in 9th Street Independent Film Center on 9th Street. And the Roxy Cinema, one of my favorite all-time independent music, or not music venues, sorry, movie art houses, and they're super community minded. This weekend, they have a whole Bay Area Media Makers event going on. So visit Roxy's website for that. So can you change slides, Carol? Just want to go through some upcoming events. I guess scroll down some. The next big event that's coming up November 11th, 7:30 to 9. It is actually public standard or Pacific Standard Time. I keep messing that up. That is a fall cocktail table read in which 3 of our members will be doing a live table read via Zoom or virtual live. With that. So please join us for that. It's, really exciting to see a project come to fruition with actors reading all the words. So next event, our November virtual social, which is a members only event. It's free for members. So if you're not a member now, please join. It's on this awesome platform called Wonder. And it just gives us a chance to kind of informally hang out and get to, build connections and hear what people are working on. And that's November 16th, 7:30 to 9 p.m. And our last event this year that I think it's our last event is December 2nd, 7 to 9 p.m. And everything you ever needed to know about fair use and copyright law in film and media. Really, really important to do in pre-production, during production, before you choose your material and you're at the final stages of editing. So we're lucky to have Jack Lerner with us to help guide through what can be used, what's fair use and what's not so fair with that. So and what might cost us and where we might get some cease and desist letters with that. So thanks, Carol, for sharing your screen. And yeah, once again, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. And yeah, we wouldn't have this without our community here. So really appreciate everyone. So I don't know if anyone has last thoughts.
Just keep on keeping on, keep making films, guys. And
yes,
any kind of media that you're making, any magic.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Take care, everyone. Hope to see you soon.
Yes, thank you.